Hello and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Benson's debut album, which is aptly titled Sincerely Benson. Before getting into the nitty gritty of the album itself, let's take the time to give context to who Benson is as an artist. Benson is someone who's known for his raspy, auto-tune influenced delivery. This vocal style is what sets him out from his competitors, as many up-and-coming male Afrobeats artists have higher pitched tones. This signature raspy and smoky vocal delivery means that many artists will look to Benson as a unique sound that they can add onto their album. Prime example of this is Benson being featured on Mood, which is one of Wizkid's biggest singles from his Made in Lagos Deluxe album. Another key collaboration that has built the hype for this debut album is GWAGWALADA. This song serves as the big single going into the album, with verses from Kizz and Seyi Vibez complementing Benson really well. So while Benson's collaborations were obviously big towards his early success, it's worth noting how successful his EPs have been. Firstly, he dropped Sorry I'm Late in 2021 and followed this up with Bad Since 97 in 2022. This meant that going into Sincerely Benson, fans would be excited to hear what a full studio debut would sound like. So without further ado, let's get into critiquing Benson's own performance. One thing that's very striking about Benson's performance on the album is how personal he makes many of these songs. We get these personal vibes immediately, as the intro track My Life features Benson being grateful to God and thanking his mother for able to give him the platform to succeed. Elsewhere, Pidgin in English is undeniably the best song on this album, and that's because of the emotional performance that Benson gives. The song has a very confessional tone, as Benson reflects on the mistakes he has made in a past relationship. His somber tone is complemented by the powerful vocal sample which is looped throughout the track. Another standout track is Sweet Tea Aduke. This is another song about relationships, but this song has a more upbeat vibe. This is the case as the lyrics are very thoughtful and catchy, whereby Benson talks about his beloved lover and how he needs her in his life. Regret is the penultimate song on the track list, and this sees Benson return to the negative aspect of some of his previous relationships. This sees Benson, as you can imagine, talk about the regret that he's faced throughout previous relationships, which makes it a very somber track once again. Overall, it's very powerful and interesting to listen to. While Benson's own performances in these songs are very good, the interesting thing from the listener's point of view is how Benson hones in on relationships a lot throughout the album. I would say that this is a criticism, as it means that the album is less about him and more about the women that he is or has been involved with. I feel like for the debut album, Benson should have made the album more about him and his success and how he got to where he is. We only really see this on a few tracks, so this will be one of the key criticisms of Benson's performance. This means that thematically the album falls short in some instances, but his overall vocal performances are excellent throughout most of these songs. Maximum Damage and Mukulu are other tracks where Benson displays his excellent vocal range. Personally, I would say that Mukulu is right up there with Pidgin in English as one of the best songs on the album. On a final note, I'll run through the songs that Benson's performances weren't quite up to scratch in terms of his delivery and vocals. Firstly, Realize is a song where Benson allows the feature to overshadow him. This is the case as Taves has most of the runtime on Realize, while Benson's delivery is kind of lazy and uninteresting. The only other track that I found disappointing from Benson's point of view was Party Don't Stop. I feel like this is a song that Benson wanted to be a hit, but unfortunately the lyrics are cheesy and poorly written, so it was kind of fell flat in the end. So in summary, I think Benson's performance was good throughout the album. Like, it's undeniable that there are more good tracks than bad tracks. I just think it's clear that in terms of the theme and the narrative that Benson created, he could have improved on that perhaps. If he did take my suggestions of focusing on himself and his own success more, then this album could have been great or even amazing. So after having gone through Benson's performance, let's talk about how the features got on. 81 was the first feature on the track list, and his performance was thoroughly excellent. 81's verses were so excellent due to the swagger and confidence that he had on the track. His flow and cadence was really strong, and we also saw many bars that were quite powerful and kind of tongue-in-cheek, so this meant that overall it was probably the best feature on the album. GWAGWALADA features Kizz and Seyi Vibez, and as we know with the song's success, both artists deliver good verses throughout. They collab really well with Benson, and overall, listening to them on the track is very refreshing. One artist that really surprised me was Pheelz. He was someone who I didn't know too well going into the album, but I felt that he stole the show and realised as well. His vocal delivery and singing style reminds me of Black, which is definitely a high compliment to be paid. I've seen much discourse online about Tubaba's performance on Regret, many people criticising him for it and not fitting the track, but I felt that his performance actually did suit the track a great deal, as his style and delivery was very emotional, and it meant that it complemented what Benson was saying quite well in my opinion. So overall I thought his feature was actually quite good. The last feature is Popcorn. While his performance was decent and it fit the vibe of the track well in terms of being grateful for one's success, it was disappointing that he had the last say on the album. Given how it's Benson's debut album, it felt like it would only be right for him to close it out. But I suppose this is no slide on Popcorn in that sense, you know. Now, let's talk about the production on the album. Straight off the bat, one of the striking things about this album's sound and production is how much it blends hip-hop throughout. For example, songs like Best in Me, Maximum Damage and Toxic fit this vibe, with such instrumentals featuring elements of trap music. I'm trying to think if this sound is ideal for Benson's style. I would say that it probably isn't. I feel like it would have been more interesting if Benson tried to maximize having Afrobeats that blended jazzy instrumentals. This is probably why I rate Makulu so highly, as it is probably the only song that has a jazzy vibe to it. The case for having more jazzy instrumentals is backed by the fact that one of Benson's best songs going into this album was undeniably Many Ways with Wizkid. And I feel like if Benson did keep this vibe more throughout his debut album, it would have come across as more authentic and genuine. Well, I'm not necessarily accusing Benson of using these hip-hop sounds as a means to generate streams and have catchier songs. I think it's clear that it kind of comes away from his aesthetic in many ways, you know. Sonically, Party Don't Stop is a massive outlier compared to the other songs that have some sort of Afrobeats vibe to them. Party Don't Stop has a sort of EDM vibe to it, and it further adds to the case that it's kind of sticks out like a sore thumb on the track list. If I was to piece together a final word on the production, I would say that it was underwhelming overall, if I'm being honest. I feel like the album would have been a lot more grand and enjoyable if it had better produced songs on it. So now that we've gone through Benson's own performance, the performance of his features and the album's production, it's time to give the album a final score. So the big criticisms are obviously that sonically his choice of instrumentals could have been better, while thematically he could have improved the messages that he was conveying across the album. However, this is obviously offset by the fact that Benson's own vocal performance is actually quite good and his features delivered as well. So with this all in mind, I would say that a 6 out of 10 is a fair score for Benson's debut album. So that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you ranked the video in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Make sure to like and subscribe, and until the next time, I'll see you later.